Hello and welcome back to Macro Day, right here on Scriptcase by Jamie. And today we're looking at a macro that handles the heavy lifting for data integrity. If you've ever wondered about how banks, government agencies, or maybe those little retail stores verify that an ID number or one of those pesky little barcodes is actually valid, well, then this macro is the secret sauce that they use for those applications. So today we are diving into the SCCalc div. So let's check it out, shall we? So hello and welcome back to Macro Day. We are back again. I know I missed last week. I do apologize. God damn that landman / land raider. That's the way it goes when you get stuck in a development. But today we are here with another macro episode, checking out the SCCalc DV or div without the I, of course. So that is on your screen now. You see that SCCalc DV. Now this macro has a very specific purpose. It is used to calculate, or should I say, check digits. It verifies. It uses a checksum algorithm. Okay, it's essential for creating or validating numbers such as bank accounts, tax IDs, or product barcodes. So instead of manually having to write some of those complex loops to multiply weights and calculate remainders, well, this macro does it all in one line. And yes, even faster than Gemini or ChatGPT. So parameters, there are lots of parameters for this one. So let's dive into the macro, shall we? So I shall open up here my macro sample, and you see here I have already started creating a little sample here for you. So we have our input value, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and number 7, and this is the digit. So this is the first variable that will store the final calculated verifier, if that makes sense to you. Okay, so that's what we're calculating basically. And then we have our next value here, our calculated digit. Now that is 0, our division remainder or reminder, and that is 0. And we see here for the SCCalc div, I've added those here into the macro, comma separated, as we always use when we have parameters to add for our macros. We separate them with commas, and then we have those values placed in here. So we have then also the rest value. So this variable is what stores the remainder of the division. We then also have a value, the base number that you want to calculate the digit for. A module, which is usually 11 or 10, as we have here 11. And this is basically the divisor of the checksum. Okay, and then we have weights. And that is like a string of numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, whatever numbers. They're just numbers. And these numbers are then used to multiply against each digit of your value. Remember, the base number you want to calculate the digit for. And then we have our type. So a type could be a normal sum of products. So for example, 7 times 2, and that would equal 14, and then that counts as 14, right? And then we have also the sum of individual digits. So again, 7 times 2, for instance, equals 14, but that then equals 1 plus 4 equals 5, which is, well, completely different, right? And that's the whole idea of this SCCalc DV macro. It is very important for those complex calculations that are required. Now, the primary solution of calculating any standard module is here, as defined, the 11 checksum. Now, this is the most common configuration for generating security digits for any type of documents that you might want to use, or say internal IDs. And then with this, You have, well, data integrity. That absolutely, because you prevent typos. For starters, if a user enters one wrong number, the calculated check, it won't match, and it will just throw an error. And that, of course, tells you there's something wrong. You have then also standardization, which is then, of course, easy to implement, because once you have everything standardized, then, well, it's like algorithms like Mod 10, which is used in credit cards, or Mod 11, which is then for banking, without having to use external PHP libraries. And that's where this macro comes into play. So that's maybe why you'd want to use that for those very important IDs that you have. Now, there are a few alternatives that you could use than this macro. And yes, as I started, loops, multiply the loops many times. And of course, it is a ton of complex code. Just go to ChatGPT or Gemini and ask it to do this calculation for you. And you'll see this one tiny little macro will save you quite a bit of code. So you see here how to use it. Now, if I just go ahead and run this application, you see I have everything grayed out right now. So I can just actually start it here using the run button. And there we have then our output, which is quite different from what we have there, right? So that is then the output that we have here. And we see here, this is what we started with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minus 9. Okay, and that is, well, basically creating us a new ID, which has been verified and standardized, right? That's what I said. Okay, so that's it for today's macro. I hope you have learned something from today's video. And of course, to find out more about the scalcdv, do be sure to check out the macro help page over on the scriptcase.net website. And then from there, well, or of course you can go to Gemini or ChatGPT. But they're still wrong. Okay, but I did say that. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. And of course, next week Friday, we'll be back with some more macro goodness.